It's one of the most extraordinarily imaginative pieces of fiction, I think, that's appeared. I mean, it's not for nothing that the first movie was such a massive success. It just caught everybody's imagination, and it works at the level of imagination. So I think because of that, strangely, it's a natural piece for radio. I mean, one wouldn't necessarily think of it that way because it's got so much action and people think of it as being so visual. But actually what makes the story so distinguished is the fact that it is a work of imagination. And, you know, the Jabba that we might imagine, for example, on radio is every bit, perhaps possibly even more fearsome and wonderful than the Jabba that we see in the movie. I think there have been a couple of moments that I had not quite anticipated would be as effective as they are on radio, and those have sort of taken me by surprise. The one in particular that I think is startlingly effective is a moment that one thinks of as being visual, which we shot yesterday, or we recorded yesterday, I should say, which is Darth Vader's death scene when he asks Luke to take his helmet off. Of course, in the film, you get to see Anakin Skywalker, the man inside, because if you stop and think about it, it's not really the physical appearance of Anakin Skywalker that you're really concerned with. As a matter of fact, it's kind of distracting that. It's actually the inner being that you're really thinking about at that point. And I don't mean to do the moment down in the film because it's a startling and brilliantly conceived moment, but it is extraordinarily effective on radio. We had Brock Peters, who plays Darth Vader, played the scene up until the moment that the helmet comes off, and another actor simply takes over his voice at the moment that it comes off. And precisely because you had to imagine what it is that Luke was seeing at that moment, the scene exploded emotionally. It was really extraordinarily effective. I wouldn't have guessed it, and I didn't really know it before we did it, but it's a moment that would work well on stage as well, that because you don't have to render them literally. There's certain things that film does not do terribly well, because describing something in a literal way limits the imagination that you can bring to the moment. So I think that's what makes it special for radio. But honestly, the last thing that has to be said is that there wouldn't be anything, and we wouldn't be doing it at all if it weren't the most sensational story to begin with. The brilliance of its original conception and construction is simply something that we're able to build on, hopefully.